What's up, desktoppers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm discussing Sergio Oliva Jr. and Justin Rodriguez. Are they retiring from bodybuilding after Sean Clarita's win at the 2021 Legion Sports Fest? Sean Clarita, only 174.6 pounds, wins versus giants Regan Grimes, who I think is about 6 foot or 6'1", and Sergio Oliva Jr., who's 5'11", outweighing him by about 100 pounds. So why are these guys potentially retiring now? Sergio Oliva Jr., this was posted up by Who Is The Best BB on Instagram, so the link to their profile is in the description below. I don't know exactly where this was posted, but it was screenshotted and posted after the Legion Sports Fest. He said at Justin DIFBB, who's Justin Rodriguez, he said, if I don't know what was that was actually in response to, but he said, if I don't and lose to someone 100 pounds less than me, I'm retiring. Justin Rodriguez responds to that. It says, at Sergio Oliva Jr., brother, if you lose to someone 100 pounds less than you, I will retire too. I think if he decided to do the show, it is to try, but obviously he will not be able to win in open. I like him too, but need to be realistic. Obviously, Sean Clarita went on to win that Legion Sports Fest Pro, which is incredible because he was up against the tallest bodybuilders that I'd seen in a lineup in quite a while. I mean, obviously you got Regan Grimes. There's no Jamie the Giant Johal, who's 6'5", but you got Regan Grimes, who's pretty damn tall, who just came 15th at the Mr. Olympia and improved a lot. Then you had obviously Sergio Oliva Jr. coming off a 6th place at the Arnold Classic, not at his best, and didn't bring his best to this contest either. Beat both of those guys, and then you had Cedric McMillan in the lineup too, who I don't even know if he showed up to finals and was, in the third call out. So it was a big show for Sean Clarita to jump into because he's 5'1", and competing against Regan Grimes, that's almost a whole foot difference, and we'll be able to see here in the comparison photos as well. I'm going to compare Sean Clarita to Sergio Oliva Jr., see if Sergio won any of these shots. We've got some different sort of images compared to the video we actually saw and put in the last video, which is a pre-judging review where I went pose by pose between Regan Grimes, Sean Clarita, and Sergio Oliva Jr. So I'm going to go pose by pose there. Also, shout out to Lee Priest, Australia's probably best IFBB pro bodybuilder of all time. I probably have to say he is. He said, at Sergio Oliva Jr., don't say that. You'll be doing videos like Ronnie said about losing to me, lol. So Lee Priest called it because, Sean Clarita did win it. Lee Priest was the giant killer originally because he competed against open guys. And Lee came out and said, Sean Clarita isn't really a giant killer if he's just competing in the 212s. Now, these guys in the 212s are all bigger than him as well because he was probably the lightest guy. Actually, I think he's definitely the lightest guy in that 212 Olympia lineup. And in most probably 212 shows, he's probably still the lightest guy because not many guys are 5'1" competing in there. So shout out to Lee Priest for getting that right. So let's go through these photos pose by pose. There's no front lat spread in these ones, but most of the shots are here. So front double bicep. You can see here, there's a slight angle as well, so it's very slightly advantages, Regan Grimes a little bit more than Sergio Oliva Jr. Probably slightly disadvantages Sergio just because the angle is slightly from the left, but it's pretty square on. So front double bicep, I think Sean Clarita, he has those peaky biceps compared to Regan and Sergio. Sergio has giant arms though, he has big legs, and you look at the amount of muscle on Sergio's frame in comparison, it's like, how do you weigh that up? How do you compare these guys? I think Sean Clarita, you look up his, outer quad and his medialis and everything, he's got details all through there. Sergio has a few as well. I mean, Sergio's legs aren't soft in this image whatsoever, but when you got to see the video, I think you got to see more detail on Sean Clarita. So I'd say Sean Clarita wins that front double bicep. On the side chest, I think that Sean Clarita wins this one as well. The detail is too strong in this photo pretty much. I mean, he's way shorter and way smaller here than Sergio Oliva Jr. overall, but I just think that he's probably just too impressive on that one as well. Back double bicep, I think that Sean wins this as well. Sergio did have some conditioning in his glutes. His hammies weren't soft, but they just weren't anything like Sean Clarita's. And then through the lower back and the mid back, I think that's where Sean Clarita really won it. Very, very dense, and Sergio just loses a little bit there. Then in the back lat spread, I think Sergio maybe improves a little bit here, but that lower back is an issue for me. Sean Clarita still has folds in his lower back, but you can just see the hardness, and you look through the back and you just see the level of detail and density through Sean Clarita's back. And then you look at the hammies and glutes, there's more conditioning there, I suppose, more dryness, and the muscle looks like it's pushing out against the skin a little bit more than Sergio, and I think Sergio just needs a little bit more conditioning here. Then we move on to the side tricep, and now Sean Clarita's not even in the pose on this one, so that one's a little bit unfair to compare, but Sergio actually looks pretty decent hitting that shot like that. It's not his best shot, but he's, I think, sort of worked on that a little bit, and when you compare it to this photo between just, individual photos put side by side, you got to say that Sean Clarita definitely wins that. He's too conditioned, and I think he just looks too good there, to be honest with you guys. Then the ab and thigh, also sort of hard to judge as well, but I'd have to say Sean Clarita wins this. He's too conditioned on that shot. And then we move on to the most muscular, and Sean Clarita wins that against Sergio as well, in my opinion. Sergio looks better when he does the crab. The hands together most muscular for Sergio just doesn't suit his physique as much, in my opinion. His crab most muscular is insane though, so maybe the crab is one shot that I'd give Sergio Oliva Jr., but you still look at Sean Clarita and he is conditioned like crazy on that one. But I just think if you saw this shot from a slightly different angle, I think Sergio's conditioning sort of comes out a bit more on this shot. Plus, he's just so much bigger. Like you said, he's about 100 pounds bigger than Sean Clarita, which is absolutely insane that Sean Clarita pulled this off. It's a massive achievement for Sean, because I predicted him, I think, in 4th or 5th in my Legion Sports Fest preview video and predictions video. So he exceeded my expectations. I didn't think he'd be big enough to actually beat these guys. And when you look at it, I mean, he is so much shorter, and it's so hard for judges to actually judge this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, if you were there, you would say, wow, Sean's tiny in comparison to these guys. But is he the best bodybuilder there? Let me know what you think in the comments below on that. And do you think that Sean Clarita should continue to compete in the open class and take out a bunch of these guys? And it makes me wonder, where would Sean Clarita fit in the Open Mr. Olympia this year? Would he have beaten Justin Rodriguez, the man who said he would retire if he beat Sergio Oliva Jr.? Because Justin Rodriguez finished 8th in that Mr. Olympia and looked damn good. Now, I don't know if Sean Clarita would beat that version of Justin Rodriguez. In my opinion, I think Sean Clarita would fall probably around that spot, though, in the Olympia, around that 8th, 9th sort of area, just because he is so damn conditioned. But obviously he didn't beat Regan Grimes, who finished 15th in the Olympia, and Regan was improved as well from that Olympia, in my opinion. He beat Patrick Moore as well, who finished 14th in Mr. Olympia, one spot above Regan, and beat him convincingly. I mean, Patrick Moore was down in that 3rd call out with Cedric McMillan, and Sean Clarita won this show, so I don't know what Patrick Moore actually finished in the end. I've got to look at the scorecards. I'll put it up on the screen now, probably. But, absolutely dominated him. So he's definitely finishing probably somewhere above 14th, obviously. So I think he'd probably be top 10 in the Open Mr. Olympia. Let me know where you think Sean Clarita would actually fall if he did do the Open Mr. Olympia. And do you think that the Open is maybe a way to go for Sean Clarita in the future? I don't think so. I think he can go back to that 212 and win it once again. Can he win it against Derek Lunsford, though? That remains to be seen. Derek Lunsford now, where would he fit in the Open Mr. Olympia? Because if Sean Clarita is winning this show and beating out guys like Regan Grimes and Sergio Oliva Jr., and more people had Sean Clarita winning this show than not. It's not like it was a super controversial win, but some people obviously do like the size, or they love the shape of Regan, and his back shots are absolutely insane. But most people did think that Sean Clarita actually won this show. So if Derek Lunsford done this show, he presumably would have won. And where would he fall in Mr. Olympia in the Opens? I think that what Derek Lunsford actually brought to the Mr. Olympia this year, I think that would have finished probably above Justin Rodriguez, but I'm not too sure on that one. It'd be a very interesting look, though, and I'd love to see where Derek Lunsford and Sean Clarita would finish in the Open Mr. Olympia. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you like to see Derek Lunsford move up and do the Open Mr. Olympia in 2022? So guys, if you like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.